This week, government is going to be announcing new contracts for offshore wind. And today I want to give you 4 reasons as to why that is great for bill payers. Firstly, we know that demand for electricity is growing. We are electrifying new sectors of the economy. The government is trying to attract new investment in tech sectors and AI data centers. And we know that all of those are really power hungry. If the UK is going to be an attractive investment destination for them, they need cheap and plentiful electricity. We know that for new gas generation, the prices have not stayed the same as they were a few years ago. And prices have gone up because the global demand is just surging. The supply chains are constrained, so if before you could get new gas generators in about 3 or 4 years, now the waiting times are about 6-7 years. So that's quite a change. Likewise for nuclear, it's a technology that we definitely need in the mix, but it's not quick to build, and again, the prices are quite significant. For new nuclear, we've seen strike prices of over £120 per megawatt hour. If you compare that to offshore wind, in the last auction, we've seen strike prices of about £86 per megawatt hour. And studies done today have shown that anything around £94 per megawatt hour is neutral to consumers, so it doesn't add to your bills. Now, if strike prices go below that, below £94 per megawatt hour, you're saving on your bills because of new offshore wind. Secondly, government makes wind farms compete to gain a contract at each auction. This year, the auction is a really massive one. We've got a record number of wind farms competing, 19 just for fixed bottom offshore wind. So that means that the competition will be fierce. We'll likely get prices as low as possible because developers will want to bid as low as they can in order to maximize the chances of getting a contract. Thirdly, all the contracts that we award for offshore wind are at a fixed price for 20 years. If you think about it, gas prices are not fixed. They keep changing, and whilst they might be lower now, we know that in the past, exposure to volatile gas prices has cost the economy quite a significant amount. In 2022, after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the government had to pay about £47 billion to subsidize bills and make sure that consumers are protected from the impact of those gas price increases. You don't get that with offshore wind because those prices are fixed. And it works pretty much the same as a fixed rate mortgage, where you know the price that you're going to pay for a set amount of time, and it's what the consumers tend to choose over variable rate mortgages, just because it's safer and it's easier to budget. And it works the same with energy and offshore wind. And the fourth point is a renewables-dominated system is the cheapest overall. There have been studies done across Europe, different countries that have different energy mixes, and the conclusion is still that a renewables-dominated system is cheaper than the alternatives by quite a long shot. Renewables reduce the price of electricity and bills through a phenomenon called wholesale price suppression. That might sound a bit complicated, so I'm going to pass over to my colleague Nick, who's going to explain to you what that looks like in practice and how it works.
Thanks, Anna. The UK electricity market runs on a system called pay as clear. On any given day, there's hundreds of generators that provide power to the UK electricity grid. These are usually gas plants, nuclear plants, and also solar and wind farms. And crucially, not all these firms sell for the same prices. Obviously, we want to use the lowest cost generators first. These would typically be the wind and solar farms, but often we have to use gas plants which set the price. But crucially, in the UK electricity system, the most expensive generator to meet demand sets the price for all other generators. Let's put that in another context. Say we're a local council and all the school buses are broken down. We have to use taxis to get the kids to school. Now, we call up every taxi firm in the local area and see how many taxis they have and what price they're charging. Obviously, we want to book the cheapest taxis possible. These would be the wind and solar generators. Unfortunately though, some of the taxi firms only have limos, which would be gas plants in this case. But here's the big twist. If taxis were like the energy system, we would have to pay the same price to all of the taxi drivers to get the kids to school. If we use limo drivers, that would mean we would have to pay every taxi limo prices. Fortunately though, by building a lot of wind and solar, it means there's more taxis available, which means we rarely have to use limos and rarely have to pay limo prices. By having more renewables in the system, we reduce the wholesale price of electricity. This is called the wholesale price suppression effect and is a key long-term benefit of renewable energy.
Later this week, you'll see a few people pointing to wholesale prices and telling you that new offshore wind is expensive because those strike prices are higher than the wholesale prices. That's not an accurate comparison. First of all, because it's comparing apples with oranges. You're comparing, in the wholesale market, assets that have already been built and largely recover their costs with assets that we're just building. With offshore wind, the prices that you're seeing are investments that go into building the infrastructure, and once the infrastructure is built, the electricity that you get from it is effectively free. Any price for new offshore wind that is around £94 per megawatt hour is neutral to consumers, so it doesn't add to your bills, and anything below that is saving you money. And all these studies looking at how a renewables dominated system is cheaper and better for consumers also take into account those other costs of building new grid, flexibility and storage. So we're taking all of that into account, and the conclusion is still really clear. Renewables are really good value for money.